Well, good morning, everybody. It is Wednesday, April 14th, and this is the Senate Ag Committee meeting. We've got H 218 on the schedule this morning, as well as H 34. And I believe Michael going to be with us, Linda?
Yes, he's coming at 9:30.
Yeah, and we have at 9:30. So we have Abby with us this morning. Did Abby, did you do a change with language? And
Yes.
would you like to go through that with us, please?
Sure, be happy to. So for the record, Abby Shepherd, Office of Legislative Counsel, draft 1.2 for the committee amendment to H88 is on your committee webpage. And it amends the definition of development for the purposes of the land use change tax. This is similar language to what you have seen previously, but it changes the reference to open land when referring to forest land that's in current use. So this, yes, sorry. Mr. Chair.
No, go ahead.
So the addition here begins on page 2 at the very bottom and goes on to page 3 of the amendment language. Rather than creating a new definition of open land, which was based on the use value manual, and the commissioner did point out that it didn't incorporate all of the different types of open land that the Department of Forest, Parks and Recreation has the authority to decide what is considered forest land. This instead refers to open land that's qualified as determined by the department. So both the import of that is that both agricultural land and open land that qualifies as managed forest land will continue to be enrolled in current use, even when there's solar on 0.1 of an acre or less of the land.
Yeah. So it doesn't change the intent at all. It just clarifies, it makes it more clear, and it gives the authority to the Department of Forest and Parks to, along with their, standard language.
So it lines up the land that is eligible for this benefit with what the department determines under its standards as open land. So it's more of a true up. It doesn't change the intent of the bill in any way.
Yeah, and Commissioner, you've seen the language, and is that meet with your approval, Commissioner? Not that
Yes.
it matters or not, but we'd like to get your opinion.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. Yes, I appreciate it. For the record, Michael Snyder, Commissioner of Forest, Parks and Recreation. I appreciate it. Abby shared it. It looks great. I signaled that back, and again, we want this fix. And so hearing that it doesn't change the intent, but it does make it consistent and avoids confusion, I'm very good with that. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you caught that, in time so that we could fix it before it got shipped along. Questions from any of the committee members for Abby or Commissioner Snyder? No, everybody is in agreement.
Is this? I do have a question. Do we have any sense of a fiscal implication, or is this just kind of clarifying a gray area that we've been more or less doing without officially being able to do it?
When we had the tax people in, this is going to save money because there's not going to be the appeals issue. People would put these things up, somebody would come along and they'd get in a wrangle with the tax department about whether it should be in or shouldn't be in. And so I believe that's going to save people that have these money. Plus, it's gonna save the tax department money for not having to have these meetings and grievances and all that. And I don't know about on your part, Michael, if somebody put one of these up previously on their open land of their forest management plan, and then they got asked to leave the program or anything, what kind of a situation it put you and Forest and Parks in?
Right, it would be, it would, as an ineligible use in forest land, it would trigger development and the development penalty, removal from the program, and all that comes with that, which is expensive for all involved. So this is finding a way to make it possible in a certain category where it's not ineligible and it does not constitute development. And that's the fix, is to allow a place for it to happen. And that's the place we would want it to happen. We're not taking productive forest land, healthy ecosystems out of production or, that function. And so it's to avoid those kind of problems that would arise.
Yeah. Chris?
Well, so Abby, is there like an ed fund implication at all?
Well, so as the commissioner just mentioned, this would remove these situations from the development trigger. So there would no longer be the land use change tax imposed, which isn't something that is typically booked because it is that sort of penalty and it depends on the circumstances. Sorry for the feline intrusion. So I'm not sure that a fiscal note has been prepared for this. I will check with JFO to see if they have estimated this. I can also reach out to the Department of Taxes to see if they've prepared anything on that, not to my knowledge.
And so it's small. Any implication would be pretty small, it sounds like. Commissioner, when we're talking about solar in forests, that doesn't seem, that's an odd visual. So are we talking about like the edge of the forest or how does, you obviously can't put your solar in the middle of trees. So how is it just a buffer strip kind of thing, or what are we talking about?
Well, it's a good question, right? And there's already a lot of solar going on in the forest. That's the original solar, right? And that's a good deal for everyone. So we want to minimize intrusion there. This is allowing, in the open land category, there's a limit on how much of this category, which can be idle agricultural land, open land, not forest land that's not well stocked or otherwise meeting criteria. So it's this little set aside that allows, I think it's actually kind of interesting. You could have agricultural practices that for someone who doesn't meet the IRS definition of a farmer. So they can't actually qualify for the ag side. In forestry, we'll let them dabble a little bit in their forest land. So we have this limited space where they can choose to have something that's kind of non-conforming. And this is where we're saying that's where you want to do solar, do it in that, not in your forest land writ large. And it's a limited footprint. So this is to avoid that circumstance where we're cutting down forests to put up solar arrays. This is limiting it and prescribing it in that particular eligibility category instead of, because it would run counter to your forest management plan, the long-term stewardship goals, if you started, pushing it into the woods. Does that help?
Yes, thank you.
Well, I think, Chris, to better understand it, Commissioner, how much if you do a forest management plan on your 40 acres, how much of that can be open field land and still be considered into a forest management plan?
About 8 acres.
Yeah, see, so it would be part of that. It would be part of that open land that's left with the forest management plan where one of these would be situated, and 10,000 feet is quite a bit, but it's a quarter it's a quarter of 1 acre. If you
Thank
can
you.
imagine how big an acre is, it's one corner of a 4 plot, 1 acre lot. So
Right.
it's not a big piece of land, and it's already in the forest management plan, so.
Thank you.
An
Don't-
acre,
Other
misunderstand.
question?
Don't misunderstand my questions as concerns. I'm picturing myself having to explain this in finance and feeling like an idiot because I don't know what I'm talking about. So
I
thank you.
can
for-
help you out.
Yeah. Any other questions from committee members? If not, thanks Abby and thanks Commissioner, and I was planning on taking a vote on this to vote this out this morning if everybody's in agreement. So would somebody like to move, Brian?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to move that we vote out draft number 1.2 of H88 favorably.
Thank you. Is there a second to that? Chris
Yeah.
would second that, and would the clerk
Can
want to call?
can we just have discussion? I thought I cut off Senator Polina, who maybe had a question.
No, actually, I had a question similar to what you asked, which was how do you put solar panels in a forest? And I hear it's talking about open land and forest and the same idea. And I was confused as to how you can have open land and if it's being managed as a forest.
Yeah.
Are we good on
Um,
that? Can I
Yeah,
provide
no,
anything?
we're okay. Yeah,
Okay.
that's fine.
I think we're all set. Any other questions under discussion, Abby?
I just wanted to pipe in about the question, the fiscal side of things. Just to clarify, 3/4 of the land use change tax is deposited into the education fund. 1/4 goes into the general fund. So there is a bit of a split there. But in terms of actual dollar impact, I will have to confirm that with JFO and tax. I'll make sure I get that back to the committee.
Yep.
It'll be
And
more
one
relevant
other-
in finance.
Yeah,
One other question, maybe the commissioner, would you know, Commissioner Snyder, how many of these projects are set up like this where you have solar in the forest management plan? Do you have any idea?
No, very, very few, if any, at this point. I think there are folks have been hesitant because it's not an allowed use. And that's one of the reasons we're trying to create an opportunity here.
Yep. So it's good then. Any other questions or discussion? If
you're having me
not,
report this, right, Bobby?
Pardon?
You want me to report it?
Yes.
All right. I'm ready to call the vote if everyone's good.
Pardon?
I'm the clerk too, so I'm ready whenever you want me to take the vote. I'm ready.
Yeah. If there's no further discussion, the clerk shall take the vote.
Senator Collmore,
Yes.
Senator Parent, yes. Senator Pearson,
Yes.
Senator Polina,
Yes.
Senator Starr.
Yes.
This is the only committee I think where I've ever been at the top of the line for alphabetical order.
Oh, yeah.
Usually the P, we're at the bottom. All right, 5-0. I'll scan this in and get it over to Linda.
Yeah, Linda, does Corey send that to you and then you'll get it to the floor? Is that how that works?
He sends me the record of voting, and then as the reporter, he lets let's see.
Loomer.
You need to let the Senate Secretary group let them know what the vote is and send them a copy of the bill, which I will get from Abby.
Okay.
Yeah,
right,
very good.
thanks.
Thank you, guys, and thank you, Commissioner, for being with us and helping out.
Thank you all very much. Appreciate it. Take care.
See you later.
And did you have your hand up, Chris? On S100, you ain't gonna believe it. But education, they didn't get it all done yesterday. And I don't know where the holdup was, except for Jim. I know Jim didn't get our changes done to give to them. I talked with Brian last night, and he thought that Jim was going to get them there this afternoon, and you know, we talked about the minor changes that we made, and he didn't think there was a problem with any of those changes, and that they would vote it out today. So, but he wasn't sure about that. So, you know, I didn't really come on to him. You know, it's hard when you're just a new chair for the first year, and making sure everybody's happy and you know, and supportive of issues. And so I said, well, you know, that's fine, and do your best, but we need to move this forward. Oh yeah. And so anyways, that's where we are with that bill.
And why don't I, and is Jane comfortable, to your understanding? Is the probes comfortable with this latest iteration?
Well, I believe so. I wanted to call her this morning, and I called it, you know, at 7:45, waiting for a decent time to call, and she was already on a call with Westman on a different issue to, you know, so we didn't have a chance to chat, but I wanted to firm that up with her because we just chatted about it a little bit yesterday in approach, but no definite. I mean, it sounded good, but I wanted to get a more definite answer. And then she said if she could get rid of Richie, she had to be on joint fiscal meeting at 8. And
Right.
I guess I should have called at 7:30 or 7, but you know, she has her plate pretty full at home, plus all this stuff. So, but
Why don't does it make sense if I reach Becca and ask her about the process question of taking it off the order to lie thing?
Yeah, if I would think that she would know, but I think we would have to, in approach, we would have to do a little report on the financing of it, right? On the floor. So, and who the hell knows what they're going to do in education. But we would do an amendment, offer an amendment, with that change, like coming out of the ed fund in the bill.
So it's probably not ready for floor action tomorrow.
I don't believe it. Just go, if you pick it up off the calendar. It goes on notice that next day, I think.
I actually don't agree. I think it comes up for action.
Oh, the very next day? Well,
Yeah.
we ought to.
I thought it
When we
came up
talk-
for action immediately.
No, definitely the next day. It's
Well-
rule, Bloomer pointed me to the rule. I can share.
Oh,
it.
you mentioned that earlier.
Yep.
Well, so you're gonna check with Becca and see what the procedure is?
Sure, I'm happy to do
Yes.
that. I'm happy to do that. It's rule 38.
Okay. And we got 5 or 10 minutes, I guess, before Michael will be with us on the unpasteurized raw milk bill 218. Is there any of you have further discussion on that bill? I mean,
Yeah,
we'll-
we haven't
we'll
changed
have-
my mind, so but I don't think
Pardon?
we're going to.
You have?
I haven't.
Well, take the last 2 letters off from haven't, and I have changed my mind. No, that's fine, Corey. You have to do what you have to do. Brian?
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Chair. I was going to do this right before we actually voted on the bill, but I'd be glad to do it now if you prefer. I just have kind of some comments to make on the bill.
Well, it's entirely up to you. I think after we do the run through, I don't know of any changes that I've heard of from any of you folks that we need to add to the bill. And what I'd like to do, if it's agreeable with everybody, is once we do the final run through with Michael, is to move to pass the bill out and do a committee vote on that. And Brian, it's entirely up to you if you'd like to, if you'd like to give your comments now or wait. We've got time right now if you want to do that at this point.
Actually, I think I'd prefer if we have Michael do it, and then right before we vote, I'll do it.
Yeah, that would be in a more orderly fashion that way. And then we're going to do talk about 434, and we've got, I think, more discussion to have on that in regards to Julie Moore's letter and testimony that she, I guess it was a letter that she sent in regards to that and on the makeup of the innovation board. And so we need to have more discussion in regards to her suggestions. I got an email from, I think it was, from Frank Hurd, and he supports what we're doing with the raw milk bill. I've gotten very few negative emails. Boy, Very few. I don't know, maybe 3 or 2. And, and I think in general, it's a tiny step, or a small step forward, to allow, it isn't a whole lot more to happen, but, it opens the market up a little bit more for our folks.
We're waiting for Michael at 9:30.
Yeah.
Okay.
It should be just a couple of minutes. Anthony, are you, you're in agreement to report that, if we get a positive vote?
Milk bill, sure. Yes. Yes.
Yeah,
Maybe we could just have a quick 2-minute bathroom break, Mr. Chair?
yeah, sure. We'll come back at 9:30.